There are papers around the table. If you don't have one, we're going back to Rabbi Weinberg. I want to share with you something about Rabbi Weinberg. I didn't share with you yesterday. I shared it with the ladies in the morning, so I forgot to share it with you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. When Rabbi Weinberg came to Germany, he went to the seminary of Rabbi Hildesheimer, who was the rabbi who took over for Rav Hirsch.
Was a student of Rabbi Hirsch?
Probably, or a colleague. I don't know exactly the history of Rabbi Hildesheimer. We'd have to look it up. If somebody has a phone, you're more than welcome to do it. And he came and he saw that the community that Rav Hildesheimer was the rabbi of in Germany, the ladies were singing the Shabbat songs at the Shabbat table. Shalom Aleichem, Eshet Chayil, Doika, whatever they were singing. And Rav Weinberg was so upset. And he was so angry. How could it be an Orthodox community? Ladies are going to be singing at the Shabbat table? What kind of religion is this? But you might think, by the way, that singing is Shalom Aleichem, like that should be the worst thing that the Jewish ladies are doing today, right? But this was a big breach of protocol in Europe at the time. The truth is that the Gemara does say that you can't find him.
Hildesheimer?
Hilds with a D.
Oh.
Hildsh. I don't know his first name. The Gemara says in Masechet Berachot, as well as in a few other places, that the voice of a lady.
Azrael.
He was, passed away in 1899. I don't.
Not the right one.
No, this is the right one. Maybe you could find to me his connection then to Rav Hirsch. Aside from just maybe he was the next leader of German Jewry. It could be they didn't know each other. The Gemara says their voice of a lady singing is an erva. It's like seeing her naked. It's something that you're not allowed to do. And we learn it from Shir HaShirim, ki kolech arev u'marayich naveh, that your voice is very attractive. We learn from here that singing, let's say when a lady's singing, so you can't say Kriyat Shema because it's like she's undressed in front of you when you're saying Kriyat Shema. Now the extent of this halakha is very vague in rabbinic literature. Rambam, Shulchan Aruch. It's mentioned in the laws of Shema, and other people it's meant as a general prohibition that you can hear a lady sing. Very unclear, but traditional Jewish custom was ladies don't sing in front of men. When Rav Weinberg came here to Germany and he saw that the people were singing at the Shabbat table, he didn't know what to make of it. He said, no, but if they're doing it by Rav Hildesheimer, they did it in this place, so it must be that the rabbis knew about it and were okay with it. So I must find the reason why they were okay. Very good. So there are a few reasons that he gave. And one of them is the reason the one gave, but he mentions two rabbis. One is the Chida from Morocco, and one is the Sdei Chemed, Rabbi Chizkiyahu Medini of Hebron, also the Sephardic rabbi of Hebron. Like 300 years ago, 200 years ago. And they both they had a very interesting problem. You find there are a few times in the Torah where ladies are singing in front of men. Tell me. Miriam. Now don't give me the art scroll stories of there was a mechitza and they were on a different bus. I don't know what it was, right? The pshat in the Torah is the ladies were together, but we heard them, or else how was it in the Torah? You know, it's like one of those things.
Well, then there's one that sang for her.
Devorah.
Very good. Devorah, what is she doing when she's singing? War. She's going to war. Very good. And
And the one that was sang for Yosef.
Dancing.
oh, so they were singing. Let's skip the dancing for now. The singing, one thing at a time.
You go.
Take us there. The one sang to tell her that Yosef was still alive.
A lady?
No.
Yeah, wasn't the lady who sang, or she played the harp or something and started...
Is it a midrash maybe?
Isn't that for Yaakov, Avinu?
Yeah, there's Yaakov telling that Yosef is still alive.
They
Because
sing
they're
a
afraid if
song.
they told him
Oh,
straight out,
someone
they're gonna
played-
have a heart
That was
attack.
his
Yeah.
granddaughter. They don't. If they were the brothers would tell Yosef if the brothers would tell Yaakov immediately,
He
he
would
would
get a heart
die
attack.
from
Yeah.
shock. So they had to.
In my chumash it says this.
No, it's like
No, it's
Oh, a
Midrash.
midrash. Okay, fine.
Sorry.
No, I'm just worried.
Sorry.
See, if you bring a proof from a midrash, so it's already rabbinic in nature. We could say, oh, maybe we didn't understand the midrash. Here it's a Torah, it's the Nevi'im, it's the prophets. Here it carries weight. So the question is, how could they get away with such a thing? So I don't remember who said which reason, but one was the Chidah, one was the Zdechem. One of them says, listen, the reason why they were allowed to sing was because they weren't simple ladies from the street, they were prophetesses. They're receiving a prophecy from Hashem. They're singing holy things. A lady singing holy things.
You are telling all the ladies now not that level?
Yeah, of course, not at 11. Of course. Miriam is the... I hear people saying they give classes, they give weddings. I was at a wedding once. This Kala, she's holy like... She wasn't holy like her. She wasn't even holy like her sandals were holy. She was... We have to be honest about who these people were. No, you do Hachnasat Orchim like Avraham Avinu. Really? Really, who's the Hachnasat Orchim? We take away from our forefathers when we just throw these titles around.
That may help maybe.
What?
Giving a name may help.
May help them? But I'm lying in the process.
It could be delusional.
And then I have the whole world thinking that they're Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and they're keeping every string in Kabbalah. So everyone's got their... We have to first be ourselves. So when they were singing, says this rabbi, the song they were singing was a song of Kedusha. In its nature, a lady's voice is not what's attractive, it's what she's singing about that's attractive.
Interesting.
And so here she's singing songs of Kedusha. That's not something that's going to arouse the Yetzer Hara. If anything, it's going to arouse some kind of connection to Hashem. And so in this case, it was allowed. Says the Srida Ish in his book, there are a number of problems with this. First off, the lady at the Shabbat table, sorry Eli, she's not a prophet. The second thing is her song, it's not some prophecy that she has to share at the table. It's a song in the book. This thing on its own, you have a halakha. Ladies, don't sing out loud in front of men. So to get rid of it is you have to get rid of a halakha with one doubt. That's not enough. So you have a second doubt. This is the second opinion. The opinion says what the Ron said. This Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says Tarei Kole Kale Lo Mishtamai. They're not, two voices are not heard.
Same person.
Meaning, if the halakha is that if you're at the kotel and two people are blowing shofar at the same time, you don't fulfill your mitzvah of shofar.
Interesting.
The reason is you're not able to tune in to the shofar that you're supposed to be listening to.
That's the nature of the brain. That's interesting.
I mean, you cannot. Let's say you go
If
to
someone's talking to you twice at the
an
same
orchestra,
time.
right?
Someone's talking to you in one ear, talking the other. You can't understand what either one is saying.
Right.
Gemara says that you can hear two things from two different people.
Oh yeah.
Not very well.
In Rosh Hashanah. So it's
Right. Well, the Gemara then has a Halel over there and about Megillah.
only
Okay. Right.
Since they're Chabib, since they're so important to us.
Right. That's true because by Halel we're supposed to read the Halel, but we're all doing it together. So the question is, how do you do it over there or all kinds of
Over where?
Well, how do you hear the Hallel if you're all doing it together?
Right, meaning so we say there because as many people as you want are allowed to read the Hallel because it's so precious to us that we're careful to pay attention.
But you're in sync with other people reading the same words. One person isn't saying one thing in one ear. Oh, let me tell you about the baseball scores. The other person's saying, okay, here's my grocery list. Can you get this,
Zev,
this,
you're
and
making
this?
problems.
Good, let's make problems. That's what we're supposed
Zev is
to do.
making problems. The problem is like this. What if you have two ladies singing? Well, let me tell you what the problem is. Let me first give the opinion, and then I'll give you the problem. The opinion is that the ladies are all singing the same song together, so I can't focus on one lady, just like you go to the orchestra. You're not able to focus on one instrument. It's all together. It's one collective sound. And so therefore, I'm allowed to hear that, and you see the Dvaram, Miriam, they were singing in groups. They were not singing alone. It wasn't a solo. Miriam got up on the stage and took the microphone and was singing to the Jews of the crossing the sea. This was together as a group. Together as a group, you can't sing a loud voice, and therefore it's allowed. Now Zev made a problem for us, and the reason is like this. What if you have two ladies that are singing? A good problem. What if two ladies are singing? One is singing harmony, one is singing the other part of the song, now you really got yourself in a problem. Because those are not the same sounds that you're hearing. And so over there, it's already, you're going to put yourself in an interesting situation. So here we're talking, the image is, you're sitting at a Shabbat table, the songs are holy songs. And the songs are being sung together as a group, not just of ladies, also with men. The idea is, according to the Slidesh, that a lady is allowed to sing at such a table, and you're allowed to be at such a table, because all the voices together, one, they're holy songs, which don't arouse the Yetzirah, and two, they're being sung together, and so you're not able to single out anybody, and therefore it's permitted to do such a thing at the Shabbat table. So you sometimes have that one person who thinks that they're, I don't know, Yaakov Shweti, I don't know what they think they're doing over there, but they're running the show. You have to say, listen, together, let's sing together, it's okay.
Yaakov Shweki has women on his record?
No, that's right, that's okay. What I'm saying is he thinks he's like the up-and-coming Jewish pop star, so he's singing louder than everybody else. So everyone should be singing together. Now, we had an interesting situation. We came to America. My wife comes from circles where at the Shabbat table, during Shalom Aleichem, Eshet Chaya, the ladies don't sing. But I found, by the way, that the ladies who don't sing always end up talking. Always.
We're not
The ladies who don't sing are always talking. So what I'm saying is they think they're being strict about something, and I'm okay with the lady saying I would like to follow the traditional halakha that I won't sing in public. That's okay. I'm not forcing her to sing. But what I'm asking you is instead of, so don't sing, but at least be respectful. We're singing like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Eshet Chayil, we're singing about you. Don't start talking about how much the tomatoes cost at Sprouts over the week. It's it's not the right time. And so it's a classic case.
How do you solve this problem?
I'll say what I try to do at my Shabbat table. In the last few months, it's been hard because we have a lot of people at our Shabbat table. I always ask before we sing. It's okay if you don't know the words, and it's okay if you don't sing. I just ask you, please don't talk. It's very important. Somebody who comes, let's say, to the Beit Knesset, and they're talking. So it's a normal thing. Someone comes, hey, Shabbat Shalom. It's one thing. Someone says Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Fine. Even that's not allowed according to halakha. But okay, I understand. Etiquette, fine. But then the guy comes in, hey, how are you? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And then you have those people, it's a constant. Since they came in the door, they don't ever talk. And outside of the Beit Knesset, you will never hear them say a word. Comes Kriyat Torah, you don't even need to listen to the news on Motzei Shabbat. You got everything you need to know, you got. And the problem here is that the person who comes in with the attitude that I can talk, you stop shushing, you listen to the Torah reading. You're coming into a place where we're trying to pray. And you're being very selfish. You're saying, I don't care that you're here to pray. I don't care that you're here to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't care. This is my place, I want to talk. It comes from a place of ego, from a place of lack of sensitivity to other people. Do you want to talk? There's a backyard, there's a front yard, there's another room. Nobody's stopping you from talking. We're just asking, here, we're praying. I was in a shul, they really have the classic sign in the shul that says, you're not allowed to speak during Asur ledaber b'shat Atfilah.
It's 770. You want to have in first half. You want to talk for second half. Sit down, talk.
Okay, that's a sad thing. That's not a good thing. So I saw once on the Knesset, they had a sign that says, Asur litpalel bimkom b'shat adibur. Says you're not allowed to pray in the time of speaking. And then I was in a different synagogue. It was in Orlando, and I saw a Sephardic synagogue. They had a sign on the wall, and it said, "Im bata lakan kedei ledaber." If you came here in order to speak, la'an ata olech kedei litpalel. Where do you go in order to pray? And all of these signs are meant to. In Europe, they had a very good minhag that we should adopt. Jews everywhere should adopt. There's a rabbi named Rabbeinu the Tosfot Yom Tov. His name is slipping my mind right now. The Tosfot Yom Tov was one of the big giants of Ashkenaz. He, I believe, wrote a commentary on the Mishnayot.
Yeah.
And the Tosfot Yom Tov has a special Mishaberach for anybody who does not speak during Tefillah.
In yeshiva, like everyone like
Rabbi
flashes them
Weinberg talked
out.
about that.
Yeah?
There's some shul in Baltimore, made, like
Baltimore, of Heinemann's shul.
So now like in like yeshiva, like they look over, like some guys like flashing it to someone else.
But in yeshiva, do people talk during Tefillah?
If you do,
No, do people
like
talk?
two stern
I never in yeshiva, never heard of people talking
really.
during Tefillah. Never in my life. There was no such thing. You're talking about 300 teenagers in a room and nobody's talking. It's possible. It's possible. Here you have 10 adults and nobody can stay quiet. It's a. You have to imagine, where there's a will, there's a way. Now you also don't want there to be a Beit Knesset where it's like you walked into a funeral. You come in and you say Shabbat Shalom. Shh. Whoa, relax. There are places where the baby cries. They throw him out of the Beit Knesset. There's time out. Don't come back for Kiddush. Whatever it is they do to the. A little bit of chen also goes a long way of kindness, but there has to be a balance. And so my wife came from a family where they don't sing at the Shabbat table ever. The ladies don't sing b'chal. You never hear a lady sing. And it's okay. It's a kosher custom. We were coming here. Ladies here do sing. The question was, should she sing, my wife, or should she not sing?
She's already eating kidney.
She's already eating kidney. She might as well wear, pants and take off her head covering, right? What does she do? So what do we say about her? Our parents said, listen, you are the rabbinit. You don't have to sing. Although it's going to hold back other ladies from singing because they see you don't, so you have to make a calculation. Maybe it's worth it for you to give up your stringency for their good, or maybe the other way around. Maybe they need to see that you don't sing. You have to know your community. What I saw from there was that was a proper approach to halakha. You have to know where you are. You have to know what place in the world. It's not a Torah is a one size fits all. We say, Torah never changes. It doesn't make a difference where you live. It's true. Torah doesn't change. People change though, and society changes. And applications change. Not everything that you do is from the Torah. Some of the things you do are from the rabbis, and some of the things you do are just customs, and some of the things you do come from Fiddler on the Roof. So not everything you have to have a crusade for. No pun intended. So let's read the second part of this essay from Rabbi Weinberg. What I was trying to show you from Rabbi Weinberg was he was brave enough to go out on a limb, even in the world of halakha, to allow things that previously were not allowed. You should know many camps, like the co-ed camps, they utilize Rabbi Weinberg's tshuva. That's why they're allowed to sing together. The problem is that in the same book that Rabbi Weinberg wrote that you're allowed to sing together, he wrote that you're not allowed to have co-ed camps. No co-ed youth activities. So if you follow Rabbi Weinberg regarding mixed singing, I understand, Shabbat table, adults, he says himself that he doesn't allow co-ed youth movements, in which case, if you want to use his heter, be consistent with it. What are you taking one thing, running away from the other things? So, let's read the second paragraph together. I mentioned yesterday that you have to be open. The first thing about dialogue and unity is you have to be able to dialogue. And in order to dialogue, you have to be honest. Honesty. You must be honest. Ana lihizdahot. You see the bold words in the middle of the page? It says, please identify yourself. You know when a police officer knocks on your door? They identify themselves. Police. Hopefully a police officer will never knock on your door. But what I'm saying is, their job is to say, who are you? Hagidu, tell us b'chenut v'gilu lev, b'kenut, tell us honestly and with an open heart. Ma atem rotzim. What do you want? Or yoter nachon, or better yet, ma inchem rotzim. What don't you want? Hifiru, explain, v'hidgishu, and emphasize, et ha-momentim, like the points, shemashkifim et ha-nigud beinenu. Emphasize those points which we disagree on. Don't tell me what we have in common. Tell me what we don't have in common. Shemafridim, that separate, umavdilim, and divide otanu, us. Don't just tell me what it is that we have in common. Oh, we're Jews. Oh, we live in Israel. Oh. Tell me what it is that separates us. Be honest. You believe in this. I believe in that. Tell me not just what you do have. Tell me what you don't believe in. Now, you're not allowed to speak like this anymore. In the world today, you cannot sit with somebody and say, hey, listen, let's focus on the things that divide us. You imagine starting off a meeting like that? What do you mean? We're all the same, we're all blah, blah, blah.
That leads to talking behind people's backs and backstabbing.
Because you're not able to do it in an environment that's open.
Brothers.
Et asher me'ached u'melaked otanu. He said, well, what about that which unites us and holds us together? Yadanu yafeh yafeh. We know it already very well. We know what unites us. We know what's the same between us. You don't have to talk about it. Baram bat ha'arachim halalu hari einaim shayechim lesemamanim shelachem. So then we're not talking about the external differences between us. What kind of shtreimel do you wear? What kind of beard do you have? If a beard. He said, "Enam tavei zehut lediukan apartzufi hanivdan shelchem." We're not here talking about the physical identity which lets us know which party you belong to or which group you belong to. Somebody once told me, someone said, "What's a Chabadnik?" He said, "Oh, that's the guy who goes with the hat like this." Yeah, that's it. That's the difference. What is the hat? There's some Chabadniks who don't wear hats. They're still Chabadniks. I mean, what is that? That's going to be the thing that separates you? No, obviously not. You have to say philosophically. Oh, you don't know. You know why? Because you're immature in the separation. You don't truly appreciate who they are to understand what is the same with you and what is different than you. So what's a Litvish person? Oh, those are the guys who don't have beards. But there are Litvish people who have beards. That's not what's going to make the person Litvish. You have to be able to explain to me the person's worldview and why you're different than them. Uvishvilenu, and for us, chashuv me'od ladat, it's very important for us to know, l'hakir, and to recognize et simanei haheker shelachem, the identifying signs of you. Ma be'etzem mitzayen u'msamen etchem. What truly determines who you are? B'ma tuchal l'hakirchem gam ha'ayin ha'bilti mezuyenet, u'hamashkif ve'ino mevaker. What the eye can see, the one that's truly critical but not judgmental. What can that eye actually tell? This is different between us. Atem Tmehim says, you're wondering at me. L'shem ma, for what? Why do we have to focus on our differences? Rabbi Weinberg, is that what they taught you in yeshiva, to focus on people's differences? Hatshuva lekach hi pshuta. Says Rabbi Weinberg, the answer for this is very simple. כדי שתיווצר אפשרות לעבוד בצוותא למען מטרות משותפות. I'm going to translate. כדי, in order שתיווצר אפשרות, that we can create an ability לעבוד בצוותא, to work together למען מטרות משותפות, and for joint efforts, joint causes. I have to know what's different about us to be able to unite with you on the same efforts. What does that mean? When I join up with another organization, let's give you an example. In Israel today, a lot of evangelical Christian groups that come to support Israel. A lot of Jews get swept up in this. Hey, let's unite. Listen, we're not talking about religion here. Now we're talking about Israel. On Israel, we both agree. You're right. You're focusing on what's similar. But you're not focusing on what is different between you. Why are you both supporting Israel? What are they going to get out of it? What are you trying to get out of it? Why do they want to sit at the same table with rabbis and their communities? Is it because they love Israel? Could be. That's what they have in common. But is there another thing? And he says, you have to know who you're dealing with, and I'll tell you right now. Listen, very smart. רק אז יבוא בחשבון, only then can we calculate להרהר ולדון and think about and contemplate אודות פעולה מאוחדת, working together. What do I need to know? רק כאשר תשלל כל אפשרות להבריח סחורה אסורה או בלתי חוקית. So they have to make sure that there's no opportunity for you to smuggle illegal goods. תחת הסוואה של פירמה חוקית וחותמת כשרה. Underneath and we shouldn't be blinded that we're running a kosher and legal organization. Let's explain. See, when you come and you hand out those pamphlets at the pro-Israel event, so we're handing out ones with the flags of Israel, and they're handing out with the flag of Israel. The problem is that inside ours we're talking about Israel, about Hashem, and then they're talking about Jesus and about this and about. So yeah, we have in common, but you're using my umbrella unity that we have together to advance your cause, and your cause is, according to me, illegal contraband. And therefore, says Rabbi Weinberg, how is it that we're going to be able to work together? I have to truly understand that there are differences between us, so I can assess the danger of working together with you. So he's telling us another thing. Working together, we might think unity is the best thing in the world. But unity comes along with
Right.
a price, with risks. What kind of risks?
You're being co-opted for someone else's agenda that's really against your own.
Very good. So sure, we have things in common, but are you going to use our name very good, to legitimize? That's what he says. The chotemet kshera, the kosher stamp. See, Rabbi so and so is part of this organization. Must be everything they do is okay. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah, they carry.
All the time.
Too much.
Some of those groups they carry Yud K Vav K banners in stadiums in Jerusalem. They co-opt our
people,
our Shem and everything.
right? All kinds of things. So this is an example I gave us about Christians, but even Jewish organizations. What is so bad for you to go and sit down at a panel of multi-denominational Jewish rabbis? Nothing necessarily. There's a lot in common between us.
Except it makes it look like what you're doing is just another point of view.
Legitimizing, right? You're saying that they're all valid options. You're making a statement also that, let's say someone's going to come to such an establishment, to come to such a meeting. You're the rabbi, but your community comes, their community comes. You're now exposing your community perhaps to ideas that the other ones are going to say that go directly against what it is that you believe. You have such an obligation to stay away from such things. Oh, what about unity? Unity, you have to assess the damage of unity. There could come along risks with unity. Many rabbis make this mistake. And I'm still early on in my career. But part of being a rabbi, you try to open up your home to as many people as possible. Many Jews, many non-Jews, all kinds of souls come through your life and through your house and through your... You end up becoming that your home is pretty much public property. And you feel it. You feel it that... And it's a good thing. It's very satisfying to know that there's an address people can go to. Some rabbis more than others. Some rabbis, you're never allowed to knock on their doors. Everyone has that. Some rabbis, their doors never locked. Everyone has their own balance of how they figure this out. But how many times have we seen families that are damaged because of the kind of people their parents, in their openness, allowed to come to their home?
I've seen it big time. Some of the Chabad houses.
It's not just Chabad. Esha Torah has this problem. Or Sameach has this problem. Anyone who's... See, the world of Jewish outreach, so to speak, is very new. We don't really have more than 20, 30, 40 years of experience in what are the results of certain things. Of course you want to help the person who is living in the street. But what street life is he bringing to your table that your kids are going to see? I'll tell you the truth. There was a Hasidic couple that I went to visit in Borough Park. A young couple. They're around my and Dvar's age. It was about 2 years ago, so they were a little bit younger. And they decided that there are so many homeless people that are Jewish in Borough Park that they wanted to feed them. He works at a restaurant, so he gets a lot of food that he brings home with him. And they're not like open a soup kitchen in his apartment, but 3 or 4 people that he knows, they pray in the same synagogue, whatever it is, that he could say, you can rely on once a day you get a hot meal by us. It's a big chesed. You can imagine a young couple in this. Why do they need to get involved in such things? And their only condition was that people can only come over once their kids go to sleep. So 9 or 10 o'clock at night, they suddenly turn on the lights again, they set up the table, they bring out food, they heat up everything, and they stay up at 11 o'clock, midnight, whatever it is. And I asked him, is it worth it for you to go to sleep so late, whatever it is? He said, it's worth it for me that I can still get the mitzvah of doing chesed, but I don't have to pay the price of my kids needing to be exposed to things that I don't want them to. You have to think about these things sometimes. We have to take care of each other. We have to be united. But you must assess the damage potential damage that can happen out of it.
It's never okay to damage your own family, sacrifice them for a chesed like that.
Well, we had a story. Look, we had a story in yeshiva with our parents. There was a man. He learned with us in Kollel, like a real young HaShamayim. He really had a connection with Hashem. Could be he's a rabbi, something. I don't know. Didn't follow up with him. And his wife. They would go to Shabbat at her family. And so her sister got married to another guy. And this guy, religious guy, so to speak. Every Shabbat they would come over, he would go with his wife. Meaning, man number 1, 2 sisters, and man number 2. Man number 2 would go with man number 1's wife, always talk to her by the table, sit with her, try to go with her to all kinds of places. Everything he could do around, and it reached a place where it was very... mugzam, it's exaggerated. Hello, how are you? How are the kids? Fine, period, over. It's a mistake. You're not related to somebody because your siblings are married to them. You're family with them, meaning you're closer to them than other people are, but they're not family. There's still a prohibition of arayot. It's still, the Torah says to stay away from such things. Now somebody was telling me they're planning a wedding. They want the first dance separate, the second dance separate, and afterwards only the families are going to mix dance together. As you tell me something, the family doesn't have to keep the Torah? The family is allowed to mix dance with each other? No, we made up a new Torah in the United States. You have to... Family also, it happens all the time. In-laws and siblings and cousins and relatives, all the time avirot happen. Have to be smart about these things. These are people that we must be close with, so specifically because we're close, dafka because of that, you have to put in proper guidelines. And so what happened in this couple, Rav Peretz said, tell this man to stay away from your wife. And if he doesn't, tell your in-laws that with all due respect, you will never come to another event that he's there.
That's good.
Kachaya, that's what happened. Because the man said, what do you mean? I'm allowed to, she's related to me. He said, I'm telling you that she's my wife and she's uncomfortable by your actions. Back off. No, it's my wife's sister. So I'm telling you. And so the truth was that, what do you mean? We're going to destroy the family. We're not going to come to the Shabbatot where they're going to be there. Now the parents said you have to make a very quick calculation. What's more important to you? Your in-laws or your wife? Which family is more? It's two families. Which one are you more concerned about? There are guests that come to the Shabbat table that are inappropriate with people's husbands or people's wives. Those guests should never be invited back again. It's a must. Don't be so merciful. It's a chesed that you're doing that's causing damage to people. Somebody asked me now, maybe one of you, I don't remember who it was, can I lend my property? I don't know if it was from the Kollel. Someone who's lend their things to other people and they always come back broken. Do I have to keep lending them things? I said, no. What about the mitzvah of chesed? I said, you want to say the mitzvah of tzedakah, you give it, you never get it back. Okay, but chesed means you give it to somebody who you could trust is going to give it back to you in one piece. And if not, at least they're going to help you with it. Now, when the car broke down in New York.
Oh, God.
So the question is, who pays for the repair? So I held that I should pay for it. Because I drove the car. Or my wife drove the car, more correctly. My brother-in-law said, though it's his car, and he probably is an old car, he expects that something is going to happen to it. So it's not that we did something wrong to the car, it's natural he should pay for it. So we ended up splitting it. But you can imagine what would happen if one of the sides said, no, it's your fault. And then, you give me a car for 2 months and I'm still going to make you pay for the bill? It's a lack of good, of kindness, of proper attitude. Someone borrows something for you, they break it, and they're not going to pay you back for it, or they're not going to apologize for it. There are people like that. Everyone knows such people. You don't have a mitzvah to do chesed for them. Let's keep reading. He said, "B'milim acharot." In other words, "Rak la'achar shnishtakhnea." Only after we become convinced, ki ha'itchabrut, that connecting with you, lo tavi rifyon b'mochotehem shel chalushei ofi betochenu, that connecting with you will not bring to laxity, to negligence, on behalf of the more weak personalities in our midst. So I'm not worried about joining with you and, Rav Steinman becoming not observant. I'm not worried about that so much. I'm worried about are the younger ones, or the people who are not so close, or not so knowledgeable. You have to convince me that those people will not be prey to our connection, our unity. B'yachas la'arachim she'en behem min ha'meshutaf lanu, when it comes to the morals, the values that are not similar between our two camps. El lehefech. We're talking about the values that not only don't unite us, but technically would cause us to separate from each other. God forbid that we should lend a hand that with the blinders of unity and joint efforts, תעלם מקרבנו המקוריות האופיינית הספציפית שבכל פלג מאיתנו. He said, we cannot allow the value of unity to extinguish the uniqueness that each of us carry in our own camp. This line is important because he's not just talking about him, the religious camp. He's saying you also have values. And you also should be worried about your values being damaged. And so if you were really honest, you would say, the only time we can join efforts is when we're not going to compromise in the things which make us different. The things which make us special. To unite does not mean to melt. What do they call America? The great melting pot?
You see this in politics a lot. You see that parties that were once quote-unquote right-wing become left-wing, and left-wing becomes right-wing, and values change, and before you know it, they're like almost the opposite.
Oh, very good. By the way, there's a whole paragraph that I didn't put in here because it wasn't where I wanted to go with it. He says, you can ask me a great question. Why are we so worried about the weak people in our midst becoming non-observant, and you're not so worried about the weak people in your midst becoming observant? I mean, why are we more afraid of you than you're afraid of us? That's a valid question. But he said from a philosophical level, he said, our belief system is very different than your belief. He said, your beliefs are not as passionate as our beliefs. You don't as passionately not believe in God as we do believe in God.
Fire.
Right. He said, and therefore, the people in your... He said that what drives the people is very different. And so different ideals look different and very attractive to different kinds of people. A piece that I didn't want to go into. But Rabbi Weinberg is saying unity can never come on account of suffocating another person, or suffocating another group, or extinguishing the uniqueness of another organization.
You're Bavel.
Very good. Bavel, remember the Tower of Bavel? They wanted to melt.
One language,
They wanted to melt.
one purpose.
American Jews. I don't know if you remember this, not in my lifetime. I don't know which years I'm talking about. But when the Jews in America, already after the first generation that was here, and after the big melting and all that, they wanted to, already the rise of the conservative movement and all kinds of things were happening in America. Agudat Israel, which I'm not a member of, by the way, just quoting. It's a Jewish organization that lobbies on behalf of the more Orthodox circles on the East Coast. They had successfully lobbied the United States government to fund the secular studies in Jewish private schools. Because they claim the separation of church and state is fine. You're not allowed to fund religious studies. But we all have to study math and science and English. So you should fund the half a day that we do study. And interestingly enough, Agudat Yisrael got support from Protestants, Catholics, mostly Catholics. A lot of Catholics were very in this because they, I guess, have a lot of private schools of their own. And other denominations of other religions were part of this bill to allow the U.S. separation of church and state would not be breached if they funded the secular studies in Jewish schools, which would, by the way, reduce the cost of Jewish education drastically. Pretty much the taxes that you pay that go towards public school would instead be applied to you sending your kids to Jewish school. Can you imagine that? You'd essentially only be paying for the few hours a day extra that your kids are going to Jewish school.
Yeah, there's things like that.
Right. So the reason it was knocked down on a federal level was by the united efforts of the Reform and Conservative movement, who at that time, today it's different, today they have their own schools, but at that time did not believe the Jews should go to different schools than non-Jews. They believed that the American dream was that we should all go to the same schools and come out, we're Jews and they're not Jews, and big deal. The public school was like the dream. The Jew would go to public school and stay Jewish. When that experiment failed, so all of a sudden you had all kinds of, community schools open up, Solomon Schechter schools opened up, all kinds of other schools, Sunday schools, Hebrew schools, day schools. But until then, the value in the Reform and Conservative movement was that you're not supposed to be separate. We should all melt together and still retain our Jewish identity, whatever that means. And it's tragic because today all of us need the help. The Reform schools also, and the Conservative schools also. So there are some states that have such a thing. But it could have been passed for all of you. Imagine how much money you've spent on Jewish education in your life.
I think about 7, 8 states.
What?
About 7, 8 states.
7, 8 states.
Alright.
Can I do a simple math equation for you? How much is average tuition in a Jewish day school?
Too many years out. Who has kids like
About
that?
14,
22,000.
15,000.
15,000?
No, you can't make it 15,000.
And in New York, they're paying like 24,000. 15. Let's say 15. We can agree 15. Before tuition cuts and all kinds of things, they tell you, we'll give you a discount. You could pay 14,500. Okay, so let's do 15. How many years a kid go to school?
Well, Chabad is saying if you have more than 3 children in your school, then you get a discount.
Oh, so you should have more children. Look at that. So you have K to 12. That's 13 years. You have Jewish education, not including
You go to the same
preschool.
school for 12 years.
I always tell people I started paying for college education.
12 years,
preschool.
12 years.
Every child that you raise, that you send to school, is $200,000 of tuition. Which means that if you have 5 kids, you better be a millionaire. Or you could have been a millionaire had you not had the 5 kids. Right? Whatever it would be.
Or move to Indiana.
Or move to Indiana. Tell the truth, in Israel, do you know how much it costs to send your kid to not a government religious school, a private religious school?
Isn't it free? Also?
No, the public schools are free.
$1,800.
The price, I'll tell you, if you do 200 shekels divided by, let's do 200 times 10, divided by, let's make the shekel really 3.5, it's about $500 a year per kid.
Shekels are
No, it's 2,000 shekels a year. You pay about 200 shekels a month per kid in the school.
$500.
That's very cheap.
Well, you'd find a lot more religious schools popping up.
When I was in yeshiva in Israel, full tuition in yeshiva for the American boys, they ripped us off. The Israeli kids paid $2,000 a year, and the American kids paid $5,000 a year.
Yeah, my son now.
But let me tell you, my friends, no. When I was in the Sephardic yeshiva, I have parents.
My son paid
$5,000 a year, we would send, when I told my uncle in Israel how much we pay for tuition in America, he said, you know what I could do? I could sign you up for every yeshiva in Israel, send you home every Shabbat to your parents on an airplane, and it would still be cheaper than paying for your school in San Diego.
It's a scary thought. Yeah.
But why am I telling you about schools? How do we get to schools?
melting pot.
Oh, melting pot, schools. There once was a value that we should all be together, and when that happened, we lost our individualism. In this country, you really find there are many communities that came here, not just Jewish, other communities from other countries. They used to be very unique communities that today they're just another run-of-the-mill American community. There's nothing bad about that. But you've lost the special part of it. You've lost the culture of it, and very often what you see
It's called suburbia.
is that it's damaged the youth, it's damaged the family structure, it's damaged all kinds of things that were held intact. Do you know where you see this? In Israel you see this. In America, for example, this was written by I saw an essay written by the chief rabbi of the Technion. He is a PhD. He is Rabbi Dr. Eliyahu Zini is his name. My uncle has smicha from him. My father's younger brother, PhD, is a high-ranking officer in the Israeli army, has a shul, and smicha from Rabbi Zini as well as from Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. I think he's accomplished, I could say. Baruch Hashem. He's a big Talmid Chacham. I used to go to him a lot for he has a whole library. If you think my library, all walls of his house are a library. All kinds of books, things that you've never found before. Baruch Hashem. So, he showed me this essay once where Rav Zini said, Rav Zini is like a diehard Zionist rabbi. Like, Jews don't even belong in America. If they're there, we don't even need to care about them. That kind of thing, you know? Like, very gung-ho Israeli rabbi. But he said the one mistake that Jews did when they came to Israel was get rid of the Jewish community that had rabbis. See, in Israel, I don't know if you know this, but most Jews don't go to one shul. Kind of like very many religious people on the East Coast. Shachrit are here, Minchad over there, Arvit over there. They don't belong to any community per se. And there is no rabbi of a shul. You go to shul, it's always some old Moroccan guy. He's the Baal Koreh. You don't ever understand what he reads. And the way he collects money, he's in the Son of Aliyot, whatever. We all know who he is. If you've been, they always have one of those guys.
It's like that.
There's no central figure that keeps the community together. And what you find is there are many Jews in Israel, Orthodox, they don't have a rabbi to go to. They don't have a rabbi to marry them. They don't have anybody for their kids to go study bar mitzvah for them. They've had to create a new culture that if they would have just brought this community model over to Israel, they would have half the problems that they have today. So let's keep reading. We have a few more minutes till... This is the cherry on top, this next piece. Sovlanut, what did we say that word meant? Jackie wrote me a brilliant email, by the way.
What?
You wrote me a brilliant email.
Yeah.
I appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Do
Patience is.
you want to share what you conclusion you reached?
Yes. Okay, well, I was talking about tolerance and to tolerate, the difference between the noun and the verb. And when you were talking about it, it occurred to me that tolerance as a noun means something different than to tolerate.
Right.
But as I was thinking about it and I investigated what other people said about the two words, they're really more connected than I originally thought they were. And really, tolerate really means that you show not respect or acceptance for an act, but you're just willing to let it go, kind of. You just take it as it is, which means probably you don't care or you're not threatened by it, but you just let it happen. And it comes out to be a little patronizing. And the reason why I thought tolerance was different is because there's this program from the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery, Alabama, that has created something called teaching tolerance. Have you ever heard of that program?
I've heard, yeah,
In
in schools, right.
Yeah, so they teach...
It's like bullying and things like that they talk about?
Well, bullying is a major thing. There's a lot of stuff involved. But one of the things is that they try to create respect for every group that goes to school together and acceptance of them. And so they call it teaching tolerance. But really, tolerance is not the right word for it. It really is...
Acceptance would be a good word.
Yeah, respect, acceptance, yeah.
But tolerance, right. So I was hoping last night that you were right. I was hoping that you would come up with the word tolerance or tolerate, one of them which would be better than the other one.
Well, I thought, when I first heard it, I thought that I was right, but I think you were right when you were talking about it.
It's a patronizing term. What it means
patronizing.
is that I don't really care so much about what you believe, or what you believe is not bothersome enough to me to worry about it, or to have an opinion about it.
It can also, though, be a hypocrisy of, it's like you're just kind of like, you really can't stand the person or the people, and you're just kind of, well, you're not going to make waves here. Just, yeah.
It's like when you're in the middle of a heated conversation with somebody, and they have the worst answer they ever say. There's two worst answers.
What do you think?
One is if you're in Orthodox circles, they say, well, the rabbis say you're wrong. Which rabbis? You know how many rabbis there are in the world? You think any of them agree with each other on something? Yeah, but it's like it's the cop-out answer for the argument. In America, the word that is used, the phrase used more often is, let's just agree to disagree.
Right.
So you think I wasted all my words until right now for you to say, let's agree to disagree. Of course we disagree. We agreed on that when we started arguing. What are you coming, what are you coming to give? It's not a new idea that you're telling me now.
It's a Facebook special.
But let's agree to disagree.
But the thing wrong with toleration in terms of this whole context of Rabbi Weinberg, is that his name, Rabbi Weinberg?
Yeah.
Is that Noah Weinberg?
No, Rav Noach Weinberg is from Eish Torah.
Okay.
My wife's cousin.
Oh.
Just pause it.
Everybody is my wife's cousin.
You mean by the way?
I mean by the way.
Yeah, by the way. The thing wrong with it is that what Rabbi Weinberg says, you're not supposed to cover up your true feelings. You're really supposed to be direct in how you confront the disagreements and not cover it up with fancy words or catchphrases, as you say. So the word tolerance really is doing that. I mean, basically, it's not confronting it directly. It's just avoiding it or...
You're hiding behind... Well, tolerance is its own catchphrase.
Yeah.
And I think, though, that it's important, what you just mentioned right now, it's important to know that Rav Weinberg is not telling you to be honest with people who will get hurt by what you're saying. You're talking about people who you agree mutually to be honest with each other. He believes this is a step to uniting. Uniting, starting on a false premise that we all agree, we're all in common, we all share the same values, it eventually will blow up then somewhere else. You don't have to walk around to the whole world and tell them your opinion and everything. You're not, what did someone say, a joke about Rashi? Who said on Shabbat? Someone said that Rashi's daughter, every day she would get dressed, Rashi's like, that's a nice top, or oh, that's a this, or oh, that's a... So Rashi, you have to comment on everything, that was the... you don't have to give everybody... That was a very rabbi kind of joke. Which is why I thought it was somebody from the Kollel. But the idea is that you don't have to share your opinion with everybody, but if somebody who truly wants to engage you in dialogue or become united with you, you owe it to each other to have this kind of open, candid conversation. So this next chapter is called Sovlanut Bilti Efsharit. Sovlanut is tolerance, Bilti Efsharit, which is impossible. Impossible tolerance. And the first line is sarcastic. Ulam hechan hasovlanut. Where is the tolerance? Hasovlanut. He repeats it again, the tolerance. Where is it? I'm telling you all these things, but where is my tolerance? Where does that come in? Kohinchem shalim utanu. This is what you always ask us. Ken? He said, yes, I'll tell you. Naked lomar laben. It's easy to tell a son, sheyeh sovlani, that he should be tolerant, klepei ha'ma'alivim et imo, towards those who are humiliating his mother. Sovlanut, tolerance. Says, imagine if you were Chalila were somewhere, someone started cursing at your mother, or pushing your mother, whatever it was. And you're supposed to tolerate them? Natural reaction is, I'm going to punch you right back. I'll go to... This says, where's the tolerance over there? Now, this is a hint, by the way. The Torah is called our mother. He's hinting at the fact that we are all children of the same Torah. You are humiliating her. You're asking me to tolerate you at the same time while you're putting down our mother. But he's not saying it outright. Here it's just a remez. I'm reading into what he's saying. Klum yisnach ish la'achiv. Would a person truly forgive his brother kasher yavchin ba'adishut shemegaleh klapav, when he realizes that his brother doesn't care about him? Bi'i hitanyanut b'sivlo v'sosono, that my brother doesn't care about me, not in my happiness and not in my sadness. And right now, my brother got engaged, so we all called each other mazal tov, mazal tov. Imagine if we had I'm not going to call it the same mazal tov. Imagine, you know what it feels like? Or the other way around. You have a community. Someone passes away. So I had somebody in my class. She comes to one of my other classes. And she said that when her husband passed away, he was a member of a synagogue for 60 years. The rabbi didn't even pay a shiva call.
Whoa.
Today she prays, by the way, in Chabad, because they came, even though she didn't know them. Okay? 60 years. Not even a shiva call, not even a phone call on the telephone.
My dad was a founder, and when he died, some people came and one rabbi I didn't know came and he said, "Oh yeah, the rabbis has a day off today, or like Thursdays is a day off, so I'm making the shiva call instead."
You substitute shiva call. Shiva 7 days though.
Yeah.
After you had it the next day.
It's a shiva white.
So, I mean, listen, everyone's humans. I want to judge everybody, all these stories favorably. Something happens, something this. But the idea is that when we're somebody who we're supposed to have a reaction to, and we don't, that's very hurtful. Where's the tolerance over there, he says? V'shema yesh legalot sovlanut k'lapei adam shenotesh et imo, et ishto v'et mishpachto. Am I supposed to tolerate somebody who abandons et imo, his mother, or et ishto, or his wife, v'et mishpachto, or his family? A man walks out in his family. No, he just gets up and leaves one day. Doesn't help them, doesn't get divorced. He's not divorced, he just left. He doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Doesn't help his kids through school, doesn't help his wife with the bills, whatever it is that he does. I'm supposed to tolerate him? Because he's going against basic humanity that you expect from a person. Haytachen lechosh ahava ulehagot chiba le'adam. Can I truly acquire love and affection towards a person shemityaches bekipaon adish, that acts towards certain things or us with a frozen apathy? I think I'm using the right word. Tell me what apathy means. Apathetic means I don't care about something, right? Frozen. Kipaon is something for like a cold-hearted person. L'sivlut enosh is a person who's cold-hearted towards the suffering of other human beings. V'legoral habdidut v'haglumudiut. He said, and he doesn't care about those who are lonely, or a galmad is like, there's a word for it in English, a hermit. Meaning he sees people who are destitute, they're alone, and he doesn't care about them. I'm supposed to tolerate this person? I guess it's the classic question of, so do you tolerate people who are intolerant? It's always the big,
It's a very
I'm so open-minded except for people who are not open-minded about me. Yeah.
It's a very Amalekian quality to describe it. That coldness, not caring.
Well, there
And
are
it
a
leads
lot
to
of
very
people.
destructive behavior because you're destroying your own family by walking out and not caring.
Right. So what he says here, sovlanut, tolerance, tov yafeh. It's a great and beautiful concept. Anachnu chosheshim la'oreinu. We're worried about our flesh. Barega bo nislach lechem al adishutchem. Now you turn the page sideways. The moment we forgive you for your apathy, v'haznachatchem, and your abandonment, v'chayotze b'zeh, and everything that's included in that. Now I'm not clear if he's talking about the Torah or he's talking about the Jewish destiny or whatever it is he's talking about. Or abandoning a family. Meaning, he's saying, we feel like you've left us out in the cold. You've started a country. You don't even take us into consideration. You want me to love you, to tolerate you? If we were to tolerate you, then we ourselves would turn into apathetic beings. Muznachim, we would allow for ourselves to be abandoned. And so on and so forth. He said, if I am tolerant, which means I am apathetic to your apathy, then that's making me also apathetic. It's kind of what Chazal teach us. Kol hamerachem anachzarim. Anybody who has mercy on those who are cruel, will end up being cruel towards those who are merciful. Could be a great example.
Or the people who support the poor people, or the poor Gazans.
So I'll tell you, and I've said this many times, I'm not afraid to say this in public record or whatever else it is. There are a few organizations recently that have been making a lot of noise. You have the famous B'Tselem organization in Israel.
Yeah.
Everyone's created in the image of God. Sometimes these guys are funded by European anti-Semites. They work for Hamas and Hezbollah and everybody else.
And they don't even believe in God.
You have another organization, though, that they call themselves Shovrim Shtika. We're breaking the silence. And there's former soldiers that talk about the things they had to do to the poor Palestinians while they were soldiers. And how they are not the most moral army in the world, and they're not and we ourselves did these things. And they've been traveling to Europe. Wherever there's like one of these BDS conventions, these guys show up. And I'll tell you the truth, is someone once had a conversation with me about it. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I have students of mine that served in the military. Family members of mine served in the Israeli military. If you believe for a moment, I don't know what it means to be the most moral army in the world. I don't know what that means because in its nature, an army is dealing with very bad things. I mean, it could be moral to protect yourself, but you have to do immoral things, so to speak, in order to protect yourself. Now, because you're doing them to protect yourself, it's not immoral. I got it. I'm aware of the philosophy behind pro-war, anti-war, whatever it is that we're going to talk about. But if you really believe for a moment that in the middle of a war, everybody is thinking about the UN Human Rights Committee, and people are worried about the Knesset Ethics Committee, and people are worried about the Israeli Army's protocol papers, and it doesn't work that way. When you're in the middle of a battlefield and people are shooting at you, and you're in a house undercover, and a lady is throwing pots and pans at you, you don't know who's the enemy and who's the best friend and who's the... And of course there are casualties that are collateral damage and such things. You're bombing a terrorist site and it's next to a hospital. Of course the hospital is going to blow up. Or even on a more simple level. You put 18-year-olds that are giving 3 years of service that they don't have a choice in. They have to serve in the Israeli military. And you put them for those 3 years, 18 to 21, perhaps the craziest years of a person's life. And you put them on the border. No supervision. They're supervised by 19-year-olds. And they're on the border, and they decide who can come in to work. They decide who can come to the hospital. They decide who can come over to find relief, whatever they're coming over for. Of course you're going to have teenagers that are bored and that are going to do things that are wrong. And of course you're going to have some people that have more of a heart and people who are heartless. Of course you're going to have such a thing. And to blindly cover for everything the state of Israel does is also silly. You're allowed to say, hey, Israel, Cheva, Mr. Netanyahu, we disagree with your policies. We disagree with this. We disagree with that. But hanging out dirty laundry doesn't have to be for the BDS committees in Europe. You can do it at home. You could talk about it at home. You could fix the problem, or you could just advertise the problem. You have to know what's the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. And you end up with these people who, they may come from a good place. They're motivated to protect their country while still taking care of the people that they're controlling. Fine. But when you cross the border now, and you cross the limit, you cross the line, that in order to protect the underdog, so to speak, you are now damaging the entire state of Israel, the Jewish people around the world. If that's what you're willing to do, so you have to ask yourself, are you the merciful person and the cruel who is now being cruel towards the merciful? Did you cross that line? And time is over, and I wish to just tell you the rest of this piece is essentially this. He tells his brethren, said, I don't want to be apathetic towards you. He said, I want to truly understand you so I can either love you or I can hate you. He said, but don't expect me to sit here and not care about you. He said, I will not return the favor to you. You don't care about me, I will not do the same thing back to you. I do care about you. And that's why I will have an opinion. And the opinion might be mad, it might be angry, it might be a mean opinion, but it's an opinion. I'd rather that than being tolerant of you. And I think that in these 9 days, we really have to iron these things out. Unity? Of course unity. Like he said, Hakol Tov Yafeh, it's a good value. But on what price do I have to pay for this value? Am I doing myself a disservice? Am I doing a community a disservice? Am I doing our religion a disservice? Am I doing the Torah a disservice for unity? Is unity the end goal? Everything is supposed to be about unity? Or does it say, Ohavei Adonai, those who love Hashem? What does it say? Sinu Ra. Those who love Hashem must hate evil. What do you mean? That I'm supposed to be tolerant even of the evil people? No. Torah says no. Sometimes tolerance has to be not for the evil people. You have to not be able to tolerate. And maybe Rabbi Weinberg once told us that there's a difference between sovlanut and savlanut. I don't need to tolerate another person, but I have to be savlanut. I have to have patience for them. The guy who drives to shul, I don't tolerate his driving to shul, but I'm patient. I'm patient that perhaps with enough love and enough connection and enough closeness, he will reconsider his position on driving to shul. I'm not saying that I'm allowing it. Rather, I'm saying that maybe with not making this my crusade against him, my fight against him, it'll bring more people closer than it will far away. And we have to know that tolerance is not our value. Patience is a value. Being able to argue properly is a value. Being able to debate logically is a value. And none of them take away from the goal, which is the truth. Like I told you, Rav Mazuz writes in his book here, he says, I'm arguing with Rav Ovadia. He said, and as much as I love Rav Ovadia Yosef, I love the truth more than I love Rav Ovadia. And that is a powerful line. As much as I love every Jew in the world, I love the truth more. Because the truth is Hashem. And they also love the truth. And if we're all trying to get to the same truth, they'll realize that our disagreements all stem from the fact that we're all trying to get to the same place. And Bezrat Hashem, we will. Bezrat Hashem. The 9 days has to be a unity that's realistic, that's attainable. Not a unity that's so utopian that we will never get there. Bezrat Hashem, I hope that Tisha B'Av doesn't come, the Geulah will come before then. And then we'll ask Rav Weinberg when he comes back from Tchiat HaMetim to finish teaching us this piece of Torah. God willing.